It's about time because we're going there.
Hi, friends. Welcome back to another episode. Yes, it is a twofer today, and it's a twofer with two twins. Yes, if you were with us yesterday, you will know that I invited my twin sister, Jasmine, to speak at a leadership cohort that I lead at Revere Church called Leading for the Long Haul. I brought her in to address and talk about some specific leadership struggles that we were having and bring some insight to SOPs, KPIs, and all those other letters that she loves to use. In today's bonus episode, it's going to be the part 2 where she's going to talk about communication styles. And a communication style, bringing in animals like a lion, a monkey, a mouse, and a dinosaur. Oh my. Yes, she's going to walk us through communication styles. And of course, I included the Q&A, which I thought was wildly insightful. I hope you enjoy this podcast episode and it enriches not just your life, but your leadership as well. If there's any content that you loved or want to share, go ahead and tag at Jasmine Star or at Bianca Juarez Official. Hope you enjoy. All right. Let's talk about the communication animal wheel. I went to a conference and a woman stood up there and spoke. And if you have opportunity to check out her book or hear her on podcast, her name is Evy Pompouras. And she's worked for the CIA and she's worked for 4 sitting presidents. She's about 5'1", petite, tiny thing, and one of the top CIA service agents. So what she went on and explained was how they work in hostile situations, team situations, and figuring out how people talk and communicate to each other so that collectively we get a result, we get an outcome. So I want you to think about yourself right now. And just kind of think about yourself and in forms of a leader of your family, leader of your friend group, leader here at the church. How we communicate says a lot about us. Now, what I'm about to show you is an animal wheel of communication. One is not better than the other. It is just naturally our default. God has given us a natural default. One is not better than the other, and we are all 4 animals. We're not all 4 animals at once, but we are all 4 animals. Sometimes in a day, sometimes we're all 4 animals in a single conversation. So let's break this down, and then we'll apply it with real-life application and Q&A. So what we're looking at the uppermost part is a lion. On the right side, what we see is a monkey. And at the bottom, we see a mouse. To the left, we see a dinosaur. So the natural communication style of a lion is in charge, guiding, and leading. You come in, and if your default, this is the kind of person who will walk into any room, any airport, any restaurant and be like, I could probably do this better. That's the lion. And it's not wrong. It's not right. It just is what it is. Now, if you have a default and you were born with a monkey-style communication, you're social, you're warm, you're affable. This is just your natural default. You walk into a room and you're like, I just want to say hi to people. AKA the greeter ministry. Full of monkeys. I know. Okay. Communication style is they want to ask questions and they want to be known as welcoming. A mouse, their communication style. Now here, one is not better than the other. It's just our natural default. Patient, thoughtful, respectful. This is how a mouse leader leads, by being patient, thoughtful, and respectful. A monkey leader leads naturally by default, warm, social, affable. And a lion leader naturally applies their natural instinct as I'm in charge, I guide, and I lead. Now, a natural dinosaur communication style of a leader is frank, forthright, and direct. One is not better than the other, but it is important as we're working on teams to understand the natural disposition of who we are leading. I want to know my teams, and they should know your natural disposition of how you fall in. It is not right, it is not wrong, it just helps us understand. Now, quick game. What do we just yell it out? What do we think Bianca's natural default communication is? Bianca, you'll have your answer and you will share it, but you will not be informed by anybody else's. Because I'm here, I'm gonna keep you honest. What do we think? Yell it out. Actually, okay, how many people here think that Bianca is a lion? Okay, so she is, but here's the good thing, we're all combinations. But we have to say, what do we think her God-given default? How many people think a lion? How many people think a monkey? See, I think a monkey. What is it? Monkey. It's a monkey. Here's the thing. When the XP comes in and allows Bianca to be more of a monkey, this room will not be divided. We're going to know that Bianca's in her zone of genius when she is, hey, hey, hey. And you guys, like laugh, but that was my sister in high school. She everywhere. I was like, but no, you didn't see Charlie? His grandma had a hip replacement. Charlie, how's Grandma Nana? That's just her. What has happened in life is she's forced to become something that's not naturally her. And I want us to actually assess for ourselves, when have we become something that's not naturally us? One is not right and one is not wrong. So what we'll see, an example. This is not a real example, but it could be very much likely. What we'll see on a Sunday version of your current leader, AKA Bianca, what you'll see on a Sunday is starts off monkey saying hi to everybody in the living room with her coffee, hi, goes back into her little, what they call the green room, which is just a converted shed-like storage room. And then she comes out as a lioness because she's in charge and she's guiding on stage. And this is what happens. And then what happens is after church is over, somebody will stop her from kids ministry and be like, you know what, we really got to cover those steps. And so what she's turning into is a mouse. Let me be patient because I'm exhausted and you're giving me one more thing to think about on this date. I got it. But she's got to go into the mouse because somebody's coming to her who needs her as a leader. And then as she's walking out to the car, she might talk to Sam, Caesar, or Asia and be a T-Rex. Listen, we got to cover the steps, and it has to happen in a week. All of those things are the lead pastor. One is not right or wrong, but what we want to do is our best self goes into the natural arena of communication. But let's flip it. What do you guys think I am? I am proud, baby. RAR means I love you, okay? You know where you stand with me. You know. And as much as I always tell everybody who I ever work with, tell me I'm wrong. Tell me. Come to me. Make me better. What can I do better? I value it big time, big time. But let's talk about when nothing is all right. How many of us have sat under a very bad leader? Okay. And when we think of that really bad leader, think about that person. And you look at this chart and you're like, they were none of it. They're not even on that chart. Okay? Okay? For real. Oh, judge lest you be judged. Okay. What do we see here? We see the shadow side of our animal communication. Let's walk these through. That's right? So let's go. Okay, let's start here. Bianca is naturally a monkey. When Bianca's not healthy, when she's leading from a place of unhealth, what you'll see is oversharing, overfamiliar, and attaching. We need to watch for the people we love and care for when these are exhibited. On the flip side, her twin sister, me in unhealth when I am leading, and she can testify, I will attack, I will be punitive, I will be sarcastic, I will cut you down. And I'll walk away and you didn't even know you're bleeding to death because I had a scalpel, not a machete. You'll walk away with a permanent limp for the rest of your life for the things I had said. That is the danger of being a dinosaur, leading in unhealth. What happens when we have a leader who we look at who's in charge and guiding and leading? Demanding, dogmatic, my way. It's the only way. Everybody must listen. Let's be real, staff. How many times have we seen Bianca lead in unhealth as a lion? Wait, be real. Raise your hand if you have seen Bianca lead in unhealth as a lion. If y'all lying in the Church of God, thank you. We all do. We all take our personal into our professional. And when somebody is walking through the depths of hell as an unhealthy monkey who's attaching because everything has been stripped away, and then all of a sudden something's being demanded and has to lead, and then what do we see? Dogmatic. It has to be my way. Why? Everything in my life is freaking out of control. So I'm going to hold on to this. It is not wrong. It just is what it is. So if we are sitting under a leader, what we must do is mirror them. So if your leader is dogmatic, it has to be this way, then immediately go down and be a mouse. Hey, take your time. Talk to me. Where is this coming from? You know what? I didn't think about it that way. I could see that perspective. I wonder if there are other perspectives that we could see. If you're in an argument and your spouse is a dinosaur, and that partner is attacking and punitive and sarcastic, what do you want to do? Come back and be a dinosaur. Yeah. But how do you get open communication and clear leadership is even if you, like me, don't naturally defer to being warm and affable, in that moment, I need to say, oh, hey, let's just sit down. Okay, let's make some tea. Let's just talk. I hate your tea. You're so stupid. You're so slow. I know, but I'm gonna make myself tea. I'll make you one. We'll leave it here. Don't worry. Okay. When we have somebody who is a mouse, who's thoughtful, patient, and they are avoiding, they're becoming disengaged, they're becoming formulaic. Have you ever worked with somebody who is a mouse and they go through a tragedy and all of a sudden they're just like clocking in, clocking out? Like, sure, okay, great. What you need to do is to come alongside as a healthy lion and say, I got you. What do you need help with? We're gonna take control. We're gonna do little baby steps. What do you need right now? So what do we do in communication? We are all of these things at all times. How do we get the team to stay centered is we mirror an opposite of what that person needs, and then we understand when somebody's not healthy, when somebody's too oversharing, too affable, too yes. So I wanted to have that conversation as we led into Q&A. So what we did at the beginning is we talked about how we judge a leader, AKA how we can judge ourselves. Then what we had is we figured out what will change in this organization and being open to accept it, because what got us here won't get us there. And what we just learned right now is communication. And that's it. So we can just maybe cruise here for like 10, 15 minutes. We'll get into Q&A, and then we'll call it a day. But I want to say first and foremost, I will say it again. Thank you. Thank you guys very, very, very much. Steve, come on up. Okay, so we'll start with Erica. Was that who it was? Oh, okay, great. And then we'll move back down and follow up the question where we left off. Yes.
I had a quick question. This is more related to part one. My name is Asia. I am on staff here at the church. And as you discuss the 4 different zone distributions of a leader, this room is full of leaders, right? We have staff who are leaders of the church. We have our servant leaders within this cohort. And our job is to prioritize our lead leader, Pastor Bianca, so that she is operating optimally. How do we reconcile our job in allowing her to operate at the 20% excellence and 80% genius, and also do our jobs properly? Is there a different distribution for lower level leaders, right? So let's say supreme leaders, Bianca, everyone under lower level leaders, for how we're supposed to operate. I know optimally we should all operate the 20% excellence, 80% genius, but at the end of the day, we need to do our jobs. We need to do what's written in the job description. So is there a different distribution that would be expected of the rest of us?
Less distribution, as much communication.
Okay.
So what happens is, in most organizations, this is not atypical. I mean, even in the business that I have, we have too much work and not enough people.
Yep.
And then what is our constraint? Finances. But the difference between Revere and Jasmine Star brands is that we can offer something and create revenue where this organization is dependent on the benevolence of others. So it takes a very strategic play to say, when are we going to hire somebody? Because we don't know really what the future financials look like. In most church organizations, the church grows faster than the tithes and offerings. there's a 15% increase in the church, tithes and offering are not increased by 10 or 15. Most of the time, they're not increased at all. Somebody has to be going to a church for in excess of 6 to 8 months before they even think about making a contribution. So what this happens is it's always the goal to have everybody on their team working in their zone of genius. That's the goal. It's not likely, but we have a goal and aspiration. So if every year, everybody on the team is working 1 or 2 more percent in their zone of genius, great. We're all headed towards a goal. But then there's the actual, pragmatic logistics of what needs to get done today. And that comes clear communication to the rest of the team. And say, like she has said, or maybe she needs to say more of, I am currently, and I'm going to use this in business terms, I am currently CEO of the organization. I am currently COO of the organization. I am also currently the director of, networking and outreach, whatever. So Bianca, if we're looking at the org chart, is sitting in all of these roles. So what she needs to communicate to the team is, I'm actually not going to be very good at director of community outreach right now. It's not possible. And if you are wearing 18 hats in the organization, which you are, then you need to set priorities of what you're going to be doing the most of. And then you just have to say, that can't get done. It's just not our priority. And we don't want to hear that as an organization because it feels slow and we feel behind. You have to let it go. This is a very economic principle. You have to live below your means. So this church wants to have 85 events, but if we can only budget for 40, buck up, buttercup. Make that decision and let go of what is not there. And then clearly communicate to the church. If anybody would like to have more events, then we're going to have larger tithes and offering. Communicate. Communicate. And here's the thing. In most organizations and in most consumerism, the pressure to stay the same is more than the pressure to change. You will only change when the pressure to change, the desire or the outcome is greater than the stasis of your current life. There are many people in this church, which is why I am so happy for this graduation onto the next building. Cut away the chaff. Let them go. They were holding you back.
It's chaff, but let's not split hairs.
What did I say?
It's okay. You said chaff. It's
Chaff?
inappropriate in the house.
Well, maybe it's French for staff.
Okay.
I don't know. It's okay to tell people in the church, you know what? We're going to coffee every other week. Put out an offering box in front of the coffee stand and see what happens. We got to live within our means. We are a church, and if we are to survive, we cannot give what we do not have. So, Asia, this is us realizing we're doing too much. Then it's on us to prioritize what we think are the needs and the demands of the church the most. And then it's clearly communicating to your direct report, which is Bianca, saying, listen, I know we have this, this, and this. It is either we don't do it at all or we're going to give a 10% effort. And then she says, okay, let's give the 10% effort. No problem, but I told you we're giving it 10%. Okay, we can't complain about a 10% outcome with 10% effort. It was communicated. And this is just the conversations that we have. But the goal here would be every year, can we get 1 or 2%, 5% more in our zones of genius? And then when you're a good leader, like we was properly displayed in the HR department, is when you're a good leader and can get outcomes, you can then build a team that pushes you more into your zone of genius. Thank you.
Another question?
There was, okay, great. And then we'll move.
Erica, yep.
Yes.
So circling back, it was in change management.
Communicating.
Correct.
Change management.
And
so,
go
okay, so I wanted to give a point of clarity as you were giving this question. So I love consultants. I love bringing in experts. But with church constraints, AKA money, the best thing that you can do is over-communicate from leadership that you see it and you've identified it and you're accepting this. Because what happens is like if there are changes, and half the staff is really bothered by what's going on, 100%. If she stays silent, we're not signaling support to the XP. And so we can have somebody come in and talk about change management, but this team is not big enough for a consultant to actually make sense. We're talking about change management. It's like an organization of over 100, 200 people. We have a staff that's very small, and Bianca needs to sit in front of all of them and say, I know we're upset, and I know it's hard, and I hear it. It's hard for me too. I don't want to drive every single day, 5 days a week, if that becomes like a thing. I don't know. But she can openly say it. in honesty and transparency. And change management comes from, this is who we are now. I will love you, I will respect you if you want to move on, and I will support you. But this is who we are. Can I further the question?
In a workplace environment, so you have a process, for example, of how you're going to get a project done and how
Yep.
everyone has different inputs.
Yep.
And people throw in the word, let's be agile, not realizing agile still has a process. It's not like all of a sudden I change my mind and not doing that, right?
Yes.
And so part of it is getting buy-in for people to stay with the process or the way in which they're supposed to be engaging with
Okay.
each other or making
So
changes.
what I hear is there's a power dynamic. She's a PM and she has like a tech team and she has other teams that she's reporting to. And what happens most of the time in most organizations, how many of us have had like a manager who says, we're going to do this by Q1. And then halfway through he or she goes to a conference. They're like, I'm so inspired. We need to change it. Okay. And everyone's in the team's like, wait, what? That is the number one complaint from most organizations is how many times a leader will change his or her mind. But you have to know the leader that you're dealing with. Are you accepting the terms that this is how this person plays? If that is par of the course, that this person changes their mind quite often, then what we're going to see is probably a lion, and we have to ask, are they unhealthy, dogmatic, rigid? You can't say anything, and this person's going to do it anyway, so you're accepting the terms that you're working with an unhealthy lion? Or is this person in charge, guiding, and leading? If that person is functioning in a place of health, then what you need to do is you need to be a mouse, and you need to be thoughtful and respectful. You need to over-index on being curious, on listening, on asking questions. And then you probably need to move into dinosaur. Say, hey, John, I love this. I heard you. This is great. I just want to say that because of project management, I've laid this out. You come with facts, never feelings. She's all feelings, I know. But as we build organization, feelings are important, but feelings change. And I don't understand your feelings, but I understand facts. So if you were to go through and say, hey, John, this is what I see. This will impact this, this, and this. Do you accept that? Because I can rally the team. Have them own exactly what they're saying.
And I'm not a feelings, I'm a fact person. And so, but I deal with a lot of people with feelings. And that's the driving force. So
then you're going back into patient, thoughtful. What leader do we think of this animal chart? Now, there's not good or bad, but what do we think is the best type of leader to work under?
Healthy leader.
Okay, if we had to pick, yeah, I know all of them, you're right. A healthy leader, I agree. I want to work without somebody like, but of the animals, how many think, I think it's best to work under a lion? How many people think, I think it's best to work under a monkey? How many people think it's best to work under a mouse? How many people think it's best to work under a dinosaur? Well, it depends, because you're probably part dinosaur. Okay. Studies show that the strongest, most powerful leaders are a mouse. They're letting their team know and mirroring in a state. Oftentimes, the leader must maintain the calm, thoughtful, respectful when people go through health and unhealth. Even if your natural default is not mouse, First, anything. Somebody comes to you happy, be a mouse. Sad, be a mouse. Angry, be a mouse. Have that be our natural default as leaders so we can hear them. Be thoughtful. You want to know who has the most power at a negotiating table? The person
The
who
one
talks
who says nothing.
Thank you. That's kind of the dynamic when you're working with somebody in a place of power and you're not. Thank you. We had a question, yes.
I'm Paul. I lead on the greeters team. And from like a logistical or like operational side, what was her name? Lori Hermosi or?
Yes, Layla. Yes.
Layla Hermosi. She had said something about button pushers, and also like went into talking about like fun, but there's a cost of that fun. Like how can we inspire or encourage individuals in an operational position to step beyond tasks?
Let's use the context of this conversation. First and foremost, I would look and I would assess, who am I dealing with here? Am I dealing, on the greeter staff, you're gonna have all types of default animals. Your leaders, the lions, the warm, funny, affable monkeys, mice, and a T-Rex. If you want to inspire somebody to step up beyond a button pusher, then what we have to say is, what's your natural default? Then we need to co-sign on that natural default. I really love how direct and forthright you are. You really empower us to raise the bar. Tell me what would light you up. Essentially, what are we asking? What's your zone of genius? Like, if we're working with a large demographic of the people who run the church are volunteers, how do we keep volunteers? By making them feel like what they're doing is like life-giving. So we start asking our teams, what lights you up? And then start making connections. If you feel like they're a button pusher on a greeter, but you feel like they would actually be phenomenal in coffee, say, hey, I was wondering, can you help us in the coffee? Like, let me know how that went. Our job is to keep our volunteer force as big and as long as possible, because then that would drive whatever revenue we're bringing in to elongate it. So if we have 100 volunteers and we bring in X to the church, that is 100 divided, that is X, okay, 100 volunteers and we bring in $1,000. That means each of our volunteers is producing $10 worth of value to the church, okay? If we bring in $1,000 and we have 500 volunteers, that means that the production that the volunteers are helping us create allows us to use the money to expand in different ways, to perhaps hire another staff member. Yeah. So it costs money to run the church. When money is unpredictable, our job is to leverage the greatest asset ever created, humans who don't want to get paid. So what must we do? Incentivize them by seeing who they are and how they communicate and guiding them to their zone of genius in the volunteer scope of the church.
That's good, thank you.
Thank you.
I think there's another question online, if we can grab a mic for Alexis. Also, if you are watching online, thank you so much. And is the audio good online for you? We're trying to make sure that the mics are coming through as well.
Yes, this is another one from Stevie, and she says, when a volunteer has an idea or a question, what's the operating system for getting that question answered or idea heard, and same for staff? Are these SOPs already existing?
So they would go directly to their direct report. So if they are in greeters, they're going to go to Paul. Now, let's say someone goes to Paul who has a burden to make muffins for the homeless. They're going to go to Paul because Paul's a direct report, and then they're going to go to Paul and say, I have a heart to make muffins for the homeless. Paul's going to be like, I love that for you. That's amazing. I'm going to connect you to Alexis, who's on outreach. But here's the hard part, Stevie, is we don't have a baking ministry. And so if it's outside of the scope of our initiatives and what we believe the Lord has called us to, is there a way for you to play that's already within the vision of the church? If it's something that's so far outside, it might be a passion. What I've learned in ministry for the number of years that I've been in ministry is if the Lord has birthed the passion in you, what happens is that someone gets a passion and then they come to me and they want it to be my passion. The Lord gave you that vision. So maybe you start a regroup for baking. And then you partner with an outreach regroup. And then you're making muffins for the homeless that's out doing the work because they're in an outreach regroup. They're in a community group that's out there in the community. I hope that makes a little bit of sense, Stevie. So you would go to your direct report with ideas and visions, but just hold the tension of if it's outside of the scope, the general vision for the church, it might be something that the Lord's birthing in you for you to start inside or outside of the church.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That was good.
Any other question? Oh, great. If
Yeah.
you could say your name because it's a little dark. We don't need the lights up there, Dane. It's all good. I don't want to blind everyone, but if
Okay.
you could say your name because we can't see.
Yes, my name is Abel.
Oh, hi, Abel. Yeah.
So coming back to the communication, I work with a lot of leaders. What I have seen is like a lion leader will come and tell his ideas straight, which will cut the monkey leader, and the monkey leader is all fun, which the lion leader doesn't like. So I see like a conflict happening between the leaders. So what is the best way of communication, and what will be the best way to move forward with an idea when you are dealing with multiple characters in an organization?
Why don't you answer first, and then
Mostly it's you can control what you can control. And what you can control is who you directly report to. Because quite honestly, if you're sitting under the fun leader or the not so fun leader, who is watching your KPIs and doing your annual review is your direct manager. So if you want to incite change, be so good at what it is you do. Essentially work yourself out of a job. If you are not ascended or your ideas not deployed against, take all of your skill sets and go somewhere else. And that's very hard to hear because it's like our safety and our security, but that is just the fact of it. If they don't see your value, they don't see your ideas, and you're not going to go into interdepartment disciplines and have your manager not be communicated with another manager. There was a follow-up.
And I also have a clarifying question for you, Abel. Are you, when you're having this, there's conflict between the lion and the monkey, are you the subordinate or are you the boss?
So that's my second question. What if I'm building a team of leaders and I see different characters and they're fighting each other, they're hurting each other?
Become a dinosaur, baby. There's no other animal that you need to be at that time. Period. The end. Is you just need to be like, hey, I love this dynamic. And then what we have to say is, okay, I'm going to start off and I'm going to be a dinosaur and then I'm going to quickly move to monkey and then I'm going to move to mouse. Here's what I'm saying. Here's what I see. I see a power distribution. I see miscommunication to the team. And how does miscommunication to the team affect the bottom dollar? We will see a 10% decrease if you don't hit your KPIs. So I understand. We're going warm and affable. Hey, I love this. I love what you bring to the team. And this is really good. And you're going to be social. Then you're like, so help me understand what is the friction point between you guys. And then you just, bloop, let them. And then you go back into dinosaur. So what I see and what I hear, do I understand that correctly? Great. So, and that's all you're asking is best move any leader. I tell you, the biggest changes on my team is I will have somebody talk, and as they're talking, they actually don't actually understand all the pieces. So it's my job to say, so what I hear is this, this, and this. Do I have it correctly? And they say, yes. Great. If I have it correctly, and I have it correctly, then what I am going to ask is X, Y, and Z. I am dinosaur, and I'm like, I'm going to hold you accountable. When I don't see this happening, I am going to step in, and we're going to see ramifications for this.
As a monkey who worked alongside of a lion and there was tension, I think one of the greatest things you can do, Jasmine said it, I just want to, the greatest role that anyone who has two leaders who are not seeing eye to eye or their leadership style is different, two things is synthesize. That's key. You didn't say that, but that's what I heard. Synthesize the facts, then lay the facts out, and then also weigh in who's actually right. I don't want to say right, but who has proof? What's the KPI? So when I was leading with a lion, my style of leadership is different. I am very aware of it. This is how God has made me. And I think people, what I will say is the proof is in the pudding for the last couple years that I've been leading as the sole leader, and everything's up and to the right to the glory of God. That's just facts. So for me, if somebody were just to sit in that conversation and bring in being point blank, saying the truth, synthesizing the information, and just letting the facts speak for themselves, I think sometimes that calms down both leaders. And it also shows value to both leaders. I think now I value a lion, I can value a mouse, I can value a dino in a way that I just thought the affable, fun way was the best way, and it's not. So, another question.
Good morning. If you're wow, the mic is so loud. If you're a leader that's quite literally 50% mouse and 50% like dinosaur on a good day, but then like, and then just wanting to be better as a leader, but if you're stressed in different situations and you get stuck in the negative attributes of whatever animal you identify with, and you're stuck there and you operate really good from that place, but you recognize that you need to lean more toward the stronger part, how would you as a strong leader recognize and identify like, hey, I am a dinosaur and a mouse, but right now I'm operating in a season with my negatives. I'm still doing excellent work, but how do I get out of that to still be the lion and the mouse, but on the healthy side? Does that make sense,
Well,
Jasmine?
I mean, it makes so much sense. And give yourself grace. You learned about this animal diagram 10 minutes ago. Like, you will now notice, it will be as if somebody put a spotlight on the inside of your brain. You're like, oh, I am being dogmatic, or I am disengaging. And then you get to make the decision. I think Bianca gives a lot more grace and space. And I just say, well, it's a decision. Like, do I want to be disengaged? Do I want to abdicate it? Do I want to be vindictive? The answer is no. Then change. And sometimes you do. I do want to be disengaged. Cool. Own it, and then change. But give yourself grace. We just learned about this, and the fact that you can now see it, nothing will stay the same.
Question on the side. Hi, my name is Tony, and I work for a nonprofit. I've been in the nonprofit sector for over 10 years now, give or take, but I am definitely that type of person who is where I am because of the why. Because I care about the purpose that we're doing, the impact that we're doing, the change that we're doing. It's a nonprofit, of course, we're overworked and underpaid, but the why makes it better, and this is why I stay. However, leadership sometimes sucks. I hope they don't see this, but like, so I was like, and respectfully, how do I stay where I am, knowing that leading up has become harder and harder because of kind of what everyone was saying, where my team, great, I know them, I can talk to them, I can change that role within them. But leading up gets so much harder because there's this huge game of telephone that he says, they said, that by the time that it gets to them, the tone changed, the impact changed. That's not the way that I meant it. And it becomes this conflict. So kind of like, why
You control
stay?
what you can control. That's it. There's going to be an organization that's going to see your value and they'll accept it and elevate it, and there's organizations that won't. I don't know what type of organization you have been, but most of the time, if you want to get a result, you come with facts. So you go to your direct report and say, here are some facts. We have had higher retention, hitting our KPIs, whatever it is you're in charge of. You come with the facts and the results and say, as a result of this, we've had this amount, of my team of 10, an anonymous survey, they had said 87% of them felt they really enjoyed work, they had open communication with the team, and they were caught onto the big vision. I don't know what the rest of the statistics are organizational wide, but I'm wondering, could I do a lunch and learn? I would love to have a 20-minute presentation about how I've improved our communication on our team. It could be optional for people who want to come, but what it might look like. And so you just have to start carving a wedge, creating desire, because you will say, I want to teach something for free to the organization. I want to talk about this. Now, some leaders are going to look at it and applaud. Other people are going to want to keep you down. So we actually don't know the type of organization you're in because you haven't taken those strides. Once you take those strides, I will tell you, if they will let you know what they like and they don't like. And once they have not even said, but they know because they're trying to squash it, not have you do back again, say, oh, there's just too many layers of change, they've told you what they meant. Then you have to say, I accept the terms of working here and on my team, and nothing is going to change about this organization. Because let me tell you, there's no such thing as an original why. There's other organizations who will have the same why, and maybe they will value you differently, and so you can function in your zone of genius and less in your zone of excellence.
So good, so good. Okay, so I think we have one more. Okay, Jason, you're going to close us out with the best question. No pressure. No, if there's someone who handled pressure, it is Jason. Yes, Jason, what is the question that we are going to end and then honor our guest speaker today with?
It's actually a question for both of you.
Okay.
Can you please define hold the line, what that means to you, Jasmine, specifically?
Oh, it's so good.
And then can you define how we hold the line for you as our leader?
Give a clap of honor for Jason's question. Go ahead, Jess.
Good. I'm just going to be dinosaur, straight, truth, fact finder. It doesn't matter how I define hold the line. It only matters with my team, my life partner, and my daughter. Now, if my family says, how do we hold the line for you? Then I tell them. My definition doesn't matter because we all have different definitions of how one is supported. So what I would like to do is turn that over to your leader so you know very clearly how she feels supported. And some of you might be like, that's it? And some of you may be like, that's a lot. It's all good. Yeah. We now know.
Yeah.
So,
Jason, that's such a great question. It's so funny. I did not know Jasmine's presentation. This is not language that we've necessarily used before. But a couple months ago, that was like the cry of my heart. I was literally...
I knew it. We had a bet. She's going to cry.
I was so excited because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not teaching today. I don't have to cry. This is great. No, see, it was like gangster tear. Just came back in. By the way, Jasmine goes to all these like business conferences and she uses my material. I was like, Jasmine, that's my joke. She said gangster tear in front of business professionals.
Okay, what? Is it a matter of who said it first or who made it famous?
Often imitated, never duplicated. You're welcome. Don't get me started how she stole my birthright. That's a whole other sermon for another day.
I legit did.
See, we're not crying anymore. Thank you. Okay. Hold the line for me was, and I'll get into this in a little bit with State of the Church. But in a season that I feel like I'm leading in a desert, I don't know where we're going. I'm just listening to the voice of God, which feels terrifying. I need, and I said it was around the building search. I said, I need people that are gonna hold the line with me. Believe with me. Stand with me. That this vision that I've seen it feels overwhelmingly impossible. See what I see. Trust me. And give me lots of grace. And honestly, Jay, I think that by and large, I feel like people have given me so much grace in this community. So please hear me say thank you. Thank you. I think a lot of people in the community have believed. I need people that are going to have faith for the impossible. That's because the pressure comes from feeling like I know what this church is going to be, and to hold that alone feels very hard. Now, some of that is my own lie that I'm believing, because there's 11 people on staff that are giving, I was going to say something, yeah. My dad says, I'll give my left nut for you. You know what? Caesar knows it because I've said it. I said it to him. It's the truth. And so
That's like stuff you say in your family. You don't say it on the stage.
But look at us being a spiritual family, okay? That was so inappropriate, but it's kind of like you get a choice. We're graduating out of this building, and y'all get to decide if you want to come. But I want people that are like, till the wheels fall off, or the Lord calls me out, I'm here. That's it. Thank you. And Eric, I said this every time, and I'm going to say it without crying, but the hardest day of my life, I stood before the church 3 times over and told the worst news that I have ever lived through. And you stood up wearing a Chargers jersey, and your voice, when I feel scared, is the voice that I hear. We're with you, Pastor B. And I know that. So thank you to you and Karina. I'm just grateful. Your voice is the voice of a lot of people who have made me feel very supported, and that you're with me. So this is an adventure, and we're about to go into State of the Church in a second. I'll tell you what that adventure is, but you get to decide on whether or not you want to be part of this church. It's your choice. No one's going to force you. No one's going to guilt you. I don't need you. If this is where the Lord has called you, then I need you. And I hope that brings a little bit of clarity.
Okay, I know we have the next meeting. Okay, this is a real life example of what a strong XP would do. Okay. She has the gift. She has the effect of the Pied Piper. She knows how to get energy in a room. She knows how to hold it in her hands. She needs to look at it and blow it all back at you. And then you walk out and you feel real good. But you might not walk out and know more. So when somebody says, how do I hold the line for you? She says, I need you to have faith. And what I'm saying is that works in churchese, in Christianese. But as a leader, to make her stronger, put words to the feeling. He doesn't know what have faith means.
Praise God. That's why we're doing State of the Church. And I didn't want to do State of the Church, but look at me being a dino. You're welcome. So do me a favor, will you all stand to your feet? You used to boss me around, no more.
Well, friends, I hope that you enjoyed this content as much as I did. I was thoroughly drinking from a fire hydrant all day with Jasmine, and it was too good not to share. I hope that you enjoyed it, and shout out Jasmine and share some love with her. You could tag her on social media at Jasmine Star. As always, if you want to leave a positive review, it always helps, because better reviews gets better interviews, gets better podcasts, and the podcast gets in more ears around the world. I appreciate you. Thank you for being part of this journey with me, and I can't wait to share more content coming up later with you.